see them over there. You ready? Syracuse Board of Zoning Appeals meeting of December 6th, right? 2018 is now in session. The first order of business is to approve the minutes from the November 15th, 2018 meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any modifications or discussion? Any discussion? No. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The minutes are officially adopted. Second order of business is to adopt the resolutions from the November 15th, 2018 meeting. Is there a motion to adopt the resolutions?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any modifications or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. The resolutions are officially adopted. The board will now conduct the public hearings on today's agenda. The way we work it here is that the applicant or the applicant's representative will state the reasons for the requested variance and present any material or documentation which is to be considered regarding the proposal. Next persons wishing to speak in favor of the proposal will be given the opportunity to address the board. Then persons who wish to speak in opposition will be allowed to address the board. Finally, the applicant or a representative will be given the option to make any closing arguments or comments to the board. Following the public hearings this afternoon, the board may make a decision on each application heard. The board may also decide to hold its decision until the next public hearing. If the hearing is closed, no additional information will be allowed into the record except for information that the board may request. That information will be available for public review at the zoning office in City Hall Commons. Staff will now introduce the first application.
Good afternoon. The first application is application V18-33. This is a use variance to waive the uses permitted for the property at 1207 Park Street to establish a retail use. The property owner is Dumar Koundul, and the property is located within a residential Class A zoning district. This is a continuation from the last meeting on November 15th. The applicant was called and informed that he should have attended and what the date was for the next meeting. And I do not believe that he's here.
Is the applicant here? Is there anybody here about this case, about the Park Street case? No. Okay. So he hasn't been here twice. Should we?
I think we should vote on it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll move we deny without prejudice.
Which means, explain that.
Which means I believe that he can open it up again.
Is that right?
I would recommend that you close the hearing before you take a vote, though.
So we can.
Yeah, right, okay, yeah, okay, we're not making a motion, yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay.
So, does anybody have, want to talk about the case?
I mean, on Saturday I drove by the place and there was like a little for sale sign in the window, so I don't know what his plan is, you know.
Might be the buyer. We don't know.
Yeah. And, yeah.
17.
I mean, my observation in reading the case was that it's just my observation that whether that barbershop was illegal or not over the years, it's obviously a small retail space. It was not a residential space. And convenience stores can be controversial. Nobody's here to talk against it. And he wasn't selling out. I'm not making a case to approve it. I'm just telling you what I got out of it, that he's selling tobacco, but according to his list, not alcohol. That's it. So, any other discussion?
I think she's right. If there's a motion, then we should discuss after we go through the rest.
Oh, okay. But we need to close the case first, right? Hearing first. Okay. So, anybody here to speak in favor? Anybody here to speak against? Hearing none, we will close the hearing. Is there a motion?
Wait, we're going on to the next hearing.
But let's just do this as long as we're...
Yeah, okay. I make a motion to reject the variance application without prejudice.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion? I see I could have discussed that.
It's a use variance. It requires that all of the standards be met. Nobody has been here to argue in favor that any of the standards have been met. I think it's prudent to deny the application.
Okay, any other discussion?
I think does this mean if in 2 months he's gonna come back and we're gonna go through this again? Will he show
Well,
up?
he has a right to come back, so I guess possibly.
So are you recommending that we may do it without prejudice?
I,
A higher standard for him to come back again? With prejudice. There we go. I'll withdraw my,
I see our staff making faces over there. I'd be glad to hear from them if they want to advise us.
Yeah, I would say he hasn't been here to make an argument for himself, so it might be wiser to do it without prejudice, because you haven't heard an argument that would lead you necessarily to believe that he's failed to meet any of these standards. He just hasn't proven that he has met them. So I would recommend denying without prejudice at this point. That is what you're leaning towards doing.
I'll just state that that's the, I'm not a lawyer, I'm just thinking that's the nice way to look at it. We do have we do have facts, we have a case to work from here, so I would say,
And if you feel that, if you want to act only on that information, you certainly have that.
yeah, okay, and I'm just stating that, I'm not stating an opinion.
you're hearing this from somebody who's gone to court with people who come back.
Yes, understood.
Yeah.
So,
So it stands, but I'll go through the standards just the same.
so this is without prejudice.
Without prejudice. Should I go through the standards, even though? Yes? Okay. Yes. The alleged applicant cannot realize a reasonable return, provided that lack of return is substantial. This is a residential area, and there are, we usually require a significant explanation of the financial situation for that property and the alternatives, particularly residential, and we have not heard that yet. So I think we go, and it's not in the written materials that he's provided either. The alleged hardship relating to the property in question is unique. It is a unique property in that it's in the form of a commercial property in a residential zone. But that's not enough on its own to carry the case. The requested use variance, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. We don't know yet enough about what the variance would entail and how it would be used to decide that, so I'm going to say no. The alleged hardship has not been self-created, and here we are with no one here to explain to us how the standard should be applied, so I would say it is a self-created difficulty.
I would just add that according to the purchase documents that we have here, it was sold as a dwelling. So somewhere along the line, somebody did create a hardship there. So I just, as Mike said, I think we need to hear from the applicant about that.
Anything else? Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor of denying the variance without prejudice, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any noes, any abstentions? No. Okay, we will move on.
The next application is application V 18-36. This is a use variance to expand a non-conforming use for the property at 566 through 568 Clarendon Street to expand a parking area. The property owner is Clarendon Property Holdings, and the property is located within a residential Class A zoning district. Will the applicant please come forward?
You say when you come up, state your name and address first, please.
My name's Anthony Luttinger. I live at 121 Dewar Road in Liverpool, New York. I'm the nephew of Henry Luttinger and the cousin of his son, Bill Luttinger, who owned 566-68. And it's a three-family house. I've kind of been not thrown into the situation of helping my family with these properties, but it's kind of evolved over the last few years where I'm helping my 86-year-old uncle manage these properties. So forgive me, I'm just not that savvy about all these procedures.
You're not an attorney.
Oh, no.
No, okay.
No. I'm the cousin
You're a cousin, okay, fine.
and a nephew. From, so at any rate, I'm trying to help the family do whatever, maintenance and run things correctly.
Do you understand why you need a variance? Let's start there.
I do. Apparently, we're using too much lot coverage, it seems.
For parking.
For parking, yeah. And,
It's a use variance.
Maybe I misunderstand, but I think it's the issue of going over the property line for parking of one property on the other property.
Okay.
Because staff might be able to clarify.
Yes, there's a couple things here.
Thank
It's
you.
a non-conforming use to begin with. It has been given a certificate of suitability as a non-conforming use in the past, as well as 602 Clarendon, which is the adjacent property, for which we do have, well, I'm not sure if we have it yet, but an administrative, zoning administrator waiver is necessary for that property, as well as a certificate of suitability. You cannot expand a non-conforming use without coming to the Board of Zoning Appeals. So that is the reason here. It includes expansion of a parking surface coverage.
So the issue of going from one property, over the property line to park, it does not come into it then?
Well, it does if you look at the overall picture, but we are treating the other one as an administrative review because of the, no, the other one. Oh, they are building an addition on the other one at 602
Yeah, I saw that the other day.
Clarendon. It's a companion piece, but it's not on your agenda because it doesn't rise to the level of a variance. The zoning administrator can review that as a zoning administrative waiver. And so I'm not sure if we've gotten that yet from the applicant, but that is for side yard.
So because it's non-conforming, anything they do
They
forces
cannot-
the use of a new use?
Yes, you cannot expand a non-conforming use, and
It's a
by expanding the parking
three-family
surface area,
in
they
an
are.
area that only allows two-family by right, and they're expanding that third family use, and so they need our approval.
Okay, so are there questions? I'm not positive you're going to be able to answer them, but
well, I'm just here to make sure that we're doing the right thing and that we have adequate parking. I don't know what else to say. you know.
Tell us how many parking spaces there are now and what you're trying to change
Well,
it to.
there's not as much grass as I'd like to see growing back there, but we need at least 3 parking spots for the back of that 3-family house, or would like the 3 spots. Been going there ever since I was a little kid, and as best of my knowledge, it's always been that way. So again, I'm unfamiliar with everything that's going on. We're trying to improve the house next door. That's how this all came about, so, yeah, go
Now, the
ahead.
house next door, no, I was there Saturday.
We own both houses, the
Okay,
560,
so now on
668,
s- okay,
602.
What I saw on Saturday, behind the house where they were cutting the trees or something there were like 2 cars parked, okay? So now to get back there, they have to go up the driveway that's next to this,
Yeah, you go down the driveway,
you're sharing the
566,
driveway, so to speak?
68.
and then there were like 3 or 4 cars in the back behind this house,
Right.
Page 83 shows
okay?
the site
And
plan.
then
which
and then that house, that white, was that white and green house next door, they're also using your same driveway?
They don't park there, but when they pull down the driveway, they do turn onto our property just a little bit so they can back into their parking spaces.
So the plan is to pave the pretty much the whole backyard, and part of that is for parking and part of that is for access to the one next door? Is that?
To the best of my knowledge, there's always been 2 parking spaces behind the 602 property. We're really not, I mean, we'd like to pave at some point, but I'd like to entertain the thought of doing that for sure. But I'm here to just make sure our parking is the way it's supposed to be, I guess.
I might be able to help.
You know, I don't want
The
to,
board.
thank you.
Okay.
Yep, no, so I might be able to help clarify. So if you look illustratively at page 69, you'll find through past certificates of suitability, the extent of the gravel parking area that was accepted in the first place as non-conforming. And you'll see a dotted line, and you'll see 4 little cars drawn on there.
Okay.
And if you flip to page 82, you'll see that expansion, which is almost entirely the backyard, which allows them to go over onto 602 Clarendon. So I think those 2 pages can help the board better visualize the extent that's being
I see.
increased.
Yep, so they have to remove most of the yard behind the first one so they can get access to the second one. I get that. Lot 16 gets more paved areas, so lot 17 is accessible to park on.
Can you keep it in gravel and not pave it? Is that a possibility? Is
I
it
guess,
gravel?
I mean, I'd like to see it paved at some point, it'd be, but I don't think we would ever pave the entire lot. Where the cars pull in behind 566, 68, from where they put the front of the vehicles, you know, we could back that up a ways to create a strip of more green space there. There are plants growing there and everything, and I could move that towards the house more, which would create a little space. And
This is a very hilly street, I know, but you're kind of
we're
at the-
taking all the water out of that, the whole hill's coming down, you know. There's a lot of water in that lot.
Right, so that's what I'm wondering about drainage, kind of if you pave, the drainage gets much worse, so the
Well,
gravel is.
unless you would do what's called a soak away area on our own property.
Rid of everything green.
You know, and a little rainwater harvesting as well,
Yeah.
which I'd like to entertain the thought of doing that, you know. We certainly, you know, I know you can't drain on anyone else's property, we've never done that, you know. But I think there is a way to pave the center area there, that common area where the cars need to cross to get into the back of 602. We certainly don't want the whole back of this house to look like a parking lot, you know, at least I don't. My uncle's all about keeping it nice and as much green area as we can. When I started a few years ago with my family, my uncle's a pretty eccentric kind of guy, and he had a hole in the lot, you know, like some sort of hole back there. So we did fill that in with some gravel. It was a pretty big, it wasn't a, you know, deep hole, maybe 2.5 feet. So I still like to entertain the thought of paving the center area where this water settles and see if I could do some sort of, it's called a soak away. It's not a hole filled with gravel, but what it is it's a hole filled with what looks like milk crates. And they're very durable, they're strong enough to like drive over. But we do have a grassy area where we could put one of these, and they come in like a 1 meter square. That's the only way I can see of diverting some of our water. That and doing a little save the rain project somehow. But other than that, you know, it sure would be nice to pave at least the center portion of where the cars cross. If you pull in the driveway and take a left, you know, the cars, for the people that live in the three-family, obviously just turn and park to the right. And then, you know, I could leave a portion of that gravel as well, and then in front of that
That's
gravel,
the back.
have a strip of lawn, you know, so.
What is that, dirt?
I don't want to make this gravel, or hopefully, you know, / gravel paved area, you know, any bigger than it needs to be.
Would there be a financial impact if we deny the application?
You mean not being able to park behind the three-family house at all?
Yeah, any financial impact?
Well, I believe the house would still, it's been a three-family home since 1925, you know. People has always lived there. I guess they'd have to find another place to park, I guess.
Is there street parking? On
Yeah.
Clarendon?
Yeah,
No, it's kind of crowded.
It's
but-
crowded. It's crowded.
And it's a three-family place. Is it all booked now or rented?
Yes.
And how many cars, do you know how many cars are owned? of
3
the-
and sometimes 4, and I don't want the 4th one there, but I'm not there constantly to, you know,
And they just go and park in the back anyway?
yes. Yeah, I need to define the parking area.
So it's not legal at all to park in the back, or is it?
I mean, it'd be great to
I
have
think
one parking
they're
spot
asking to
per
expand
unit
what they've been
and have the
approved for
2
parking.
behind 602. The parking behind the three-family, it's surrounded by garages, so it's really, those 3 parking spots really aren't ruining anyone's view or anything like that. But,
Other questions?
Well, I guess my concern here is just if, say, someone else were to buy the 2-family house
the
next
3-family,
door, or there's a 3-family and the one next door.
a single family.
A
There's
single
3
family.
Right.
Um,
At that point, we would, if we ever sold that house, we would just put it on the deed. We'd change the deed and give them an easement. But
Give them
we
an
can't give ourselves an easement to drive on our own property.
I see.
It's a single-family rented house or?
Vacant.
It's, do you have family living there
Nobody's living in it right now.
in 602?
Yeah.
And what's your plan for that? Oh, you
Well,
would
we'd
say
like
you
to-
do an
We'd
administrative.
like to clean it up. That's
Yeah.
kind of why I'm on the whole scene here. Try to get- It's just a single-family home. Well, 566, 68
It's 3.
is 3.
Okay, so that green and white one is the one family, is a single.
That's someone else's home, yeah,
And that's a single family.
yeah. I mean,
And if there were only one spot behind that single family, would that enable you to pave less of the, or turn less of the backyard into?
not, do you mean if there was one spot behind the single family to park
Yeah.
only?
Yeah.
But that's not his house.
Yeah, it's our house. We
Yeah,
own both of
They
them.
own both of these houses.
Yep. My uncle bought the 3-family in 1960 and 602 in 1967, I believe.
That's the 2 and that's the 3, right?
So,
Yes, did you have something to say?
No, I was just, if it helps to clarify to the board, it looks like the Christofferson survey indicates a total of 6 spaces, so there are 4 proposed behind this property at
66?
566. And a small portion of that 4th one goes on to 602. And that would satisfy the 3-family and the 1-family.
I see.
If that helps, I was just pointing that out.
That is interesting, thanks.
Be great if we could have 3 spaces behind at least 3 behind the 3-family and the 2 for 602. If that's possible, I mean, that'd be ideal. To get in and out.
Or 4 altogether.
Pardon?
What if there were 4 altogether for the 2 houses?
Well, then we'd have to roll with that, you know, taking whatever we can get here, you know. We're all about keeping the cars off the street as well, somehow. Even when we rent, we'll rent to less people.
Other questions? Any other questions? Thank you very much. Is there anybody who wishes to speak in favor of the application? Is there anybody who wishes to speak against the application? Then we'll close the case and we're gonna take it up later for a vote after we're finished. Sir, are you from the Park Street? Okay, well, you were late, and I think somebody's got to talk to you when we have to discuss later what we're going to do about it. Well, we can, we can, but, okay.
The next application is application V-18-37. This is a use variance to waive the uses permitted for the property at 401 through 403 Ellis Street to establish a two-family dwelling. The property is owned by VH Syracuse Realty LLC, and the property is located within a residential Class A1 zoning district.
Good afternoon, Terry Luckett, Greater Syracuse Land Bank at 431 East Fayette Street in Syracuse. 401 Ellis Street was constructed in 1920. It operated legally as a three-family dwelling until 1962 when the zone was changed to RAA. The property was occupied when it was acquired by the land bank in January of 2016, but it was apparently vacant at some time during the 1970s and therefore lost its grandfathering. VH Syracuse Realty LLC is owned by May Oyen, behind me here. She purchased the property from the land bank in July 2017 before we realized there were so many non-conforming uses. The land bank's now trying to address zoning issues up front before purchases go through. Ms. Oyen was not aware that the property lost its grandfathering to operate lawfully as a three-family at the time that she purchased the home. It has been completely renovated and in its existing three-family configuration. We're here today to ask the board for a use variance to operate the property as a three-family dwelling. I'd like to go through the standards of proof. Number one, reasonable return. Ms. Oyen has invested over $60,000 into the purchase and renovation of the property in its current configuration. If the variance is not granted, she would need to invest further in the property to reconfigure it either as a two-family or as a single-family dwelling. As you can see from the comparative market analysis included in your packet, the average value of homes sold in this neighborhood is around $67,000. If she were to sell the property, it's very unlikely that she could recover the sunk costs. If the land bank recaptured the property for default on the rehabilitation enforcement mortgage, we would need to find another buyer willing to purchase and reconfigure the home, or alternatively, we would need to demolish the property. At an average cost of $25,000 for demolition, these costs could never be recovered through sale of the vacant lot to the adjoining neighbors. New construction on the vacant lot is very unlikely. As we describe in the standards of proof, neither of these scenarios provides the opportunity for Ms. Oyen or the land bank to earn a reasonable return on the investment. Number two, unique circumstances. This property presents a unique circumstance that differs from other properties in the 400 block of Ellis Street because it's the largest structure on the block, containing 3124 square feet of living space. The other two-family homes on the street contain an average of 2721 square feet. The size of the building makes it difficult to convert to a single-family or to a two-family home. Number three, essential character of the locality. The 400 block of Ellis Street is made of a mix of 8 single-family and 20 two-family dwellings. 401 Ellis Street is the only three-family dwelling on the block. A variance will not change the essential character of this street, as the property has been three-family since at least 1991, and the street is made up of primarily rental properties. If the variance were not granted, the home would likely become vacant for the foreseeable future. And number four, the hardship is not self-created. This property was vacated by a prior irresponsible landowner and turned over to the land bank for redevelopment. The loss of the non-conforming use status was not a result of the actions of the city of Syracuse, the land bank, or Miss Oyen.
I notice on the front page of our thing, it says two-family, and here, now you're saying three-family, so I'm having to rethink it quickly.
Is that a mistake I made?
No,
Oh, sorry.
Has this operated, previous to it going fallow, whatever? Did it operate as a three-family?
When we took ownership of it, it was occupied as a three-family, yes.
You know
That's
how
why
long-
it was before I got here, but I guess that's why they thought it was okay as a three-family, was because it was occupied.
How long was it vacant, do you know?
In 1970, I don't know, it must have been more than 2 years.
There was a lapse in the past for more than 2 years.
I see.
It has all the mechanicals for a three-family?
I'm gonna let Ms. Oyen answer that.
Please state your name and your address, please.
Sure. My name is May Oyen, and I live at 7301 Dogwood Lane in Manlius, New York.
Okay.
Now, is this home, does it have all the like furnace and plumbing, all for a three-family?
Yes. After we purchased for land bank, we renovated as it stays on the contract, and we applied for the compliance of certificate of compliance. So, and the inspection was passed. So we thought we were gonna receive the certificate, so the land bank can release our mortgage statement. But then we've been waiting, and then I called the zoning, and they say there's a problem. After they did a deeper research into it, they found they told me it was once a three-family, and then later on it was two-family. That's why they are not able to release the certificate of compliance. So everything was up to code.
What was your, when you first saw it, what was your evidence that it was a three-family?
I know, because I know the street very well. Actually, I purchased another house across the street, and for my acknowledgement, I owned the house for about 8 years, and that 401 Ellis has always been occupied, and it's just three-family. It was not vacant for over 2 years. Actually, because all the National Grid, the electric are always on. So always being occupied as a three-family. So I thought I purchased the three-family and then we did the inspection and everything, and just until like recently I was told it's a two-family. So
There are 2 bedrooms in each unit?
no, the first floor is a large 4-bedroom apartment.
107.
And then the second floor, there's 1 2-bedroom apartment and then 1 1-bedroom apartment. And both units have a large living room, large kitchen, full baths, and the bathroom. All the rooms are in good size. And the commonsway, the stairs.
And it's not occupied now? It's not being rented now, or is it?
It has been occupied.
Oh, okay, so you're renting it out? You've been
Yeah,
operating it as a
yeah.
three-bedroom?
Do we have the third apartment's floor plan here, or no?
Yeah, there are 2 on the second floor. If you look for the kitchens, you'll see there's 2 kitchens.
There's kitchen here and a kitchen there.
Where's the door?
2 kitchens. They're kitty corner from each other. So there's a wall. That's
Before you closed on the purchase of this property, did you call zoning to
No,
ask any questions about the status of it?
no, even my attorney didn't find out. So
Okay.
so we all thought it was a legal three-family.
Okay.
And when did you buy?
I was later 2016, and then the inspection was like early 2017 with the code. If you can call the code, they have the records of my application, and the inspector that came out, and all the furnace and everything was new.
So the configuration we see here, is that the way it was laid out when you
Yes.
bought it? With those 2 apartments on the second floor?
Yes, everything, the layout, everything the same, except we just did moderate renovation, like the painting the walls
There
and
were
change
two-
the kitchen cabinets and everything.
But there were
like
2
that.
kitchens and 2 living rooms
Yes.
and all that? Other questions?
Thank you.
Anybody wish to speak in favor of the application? Anybody wish to speak against the application? Hearing no one, will close this case. Please instruct us if we should open the first case and how we do that.
You can.
So with a motion.
You could, given the new circumstances with respect to the applicant now being present, if you'd like to give him an opportunity to speak and make the case, you should make a motion to rescind.
Should we deliberate
Yes,
on?
To add to that, if you would like to reopen the hearing, I would also recommend that you then make a motion to rescind the motion and decision that was made,
Maybe out of
the action.
courtesy for the people that came on time, we should do their cases now. Yeah, okay, let's do that. Okay, so we go to Clarendon Street, V 18-36. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to deny. I need to find the standards.
Wait, we need a second.
Oh, that's true.
Is there a second?
I make a motion to approve with conditions instead.
I prefer that too.
Okay, okay. The motion is to approve only the 4 spaces behind the first house. I forget what number that is.
66?
66, yes. Approve 4 parking spaces behind 566, 68, with none on the adjoining property.
Like it has to go over onto the adjoining property a little.
One of the spaces has to go over, and I guess we should say how much should we allow them to go over? If that's 5 feet? It's hard to tell from the drawing what the scale would be.
If you want, I can do a calculation.
Would you?
So actually, they could fit all 4 on this property.
There would be space for 4 legal parking spaces at the back.
Yes, because I'm just taking 35, which is the width of the property, and dividing it by 8.5, and that's 8.5 feet wide is a legal parking space. So they could fit all 4, as was acknowledged before in the certificate of suitability, but it didn't have, if you look at the other page that I pointed out previously, so page 57, that extent of the parking area was for 4 cars, and it was just a single driveway going straight back, and then 4 cars, as you see the dotted line there.
58, is that page 58?
57 starts the certificate of
sorry,
suitability.
57,
58
yes.
shows
Yep,
the
yep.
picture with the 4 cars.
I'm looking at
I'm not sure how workable that is with respect to cars backing out, but if you, one suggestion would be if you do make this motion, we can work with the applicant to at least satisfy your motion with 4 spaces, but make it
Part of your administrative
workable
review.
so that they're not backing out onto grass, but that it's not increasing the parking surface area by, give me a percent.
I was looking at the aerial photo on my phone. It doesn't look like there's a lot of grass back there now.
Right, I think the property survey indicates the existing conditions, because that's usually what a property survey does.
Given that all 4 could fit, could we just deny the application then?
Well, you still have the parking surface, it would still
It's still
Unless
next-
they were to go back exactly
see.
as what was identified in the certificates of
Which
suitability.
was just 3,
Which was, well, it's 4.
it's 4.
Yeah, but it had a single driveway going towards there, and it's only 20 feet deep, so technically, it doesn't appear that it would
It's
work
not-
as
not
far as
workable,
backing out, not into grass.
Yeah,
So,
those cars can park over each other.
yeah. Another option would be to hold this, and then we could work with the applicant to come up with something that might be more acceptable to the board, so you can physically see it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm afraid you won't be able to help us on that. But that sounds like a solution, yeah.
Okay, then you're gonna withdraw. your
I'll
motion.
withdraw my motion and make a motion to hold this over and to leave the hearing open. Is that right? Are we leaving the hearing open then?
Yes.
Okay, then that's my motion. Anybody second?
You know, to see
What?
a plan,
Yes.
yeah. Okay. You okay with that?
Second, yeah.
And I do have concerns about taking more grass out of the backyard of those 2 houses. It'd be nice to find a way to do less of that.
We'll convey that to the applicant and try to work with them to illustrate a plan and bring it before you on January 3rd.
Third, when?
The next meeting.
Yeah, got it.
Just so the board's aware, I am going to abstain from all of these discussions and votes on it because I had spoken to his real estate agent well before I was on this board about this issue, so.
Does she need to do that?
Is that a financial, you have a financial
I
statement?
am doing it out of an abundance of caution.
Okay, well, there are 4.
So there's 4 of them, they can make a decision on this, and so long as we get other people on January 3rd, we'll be okay.
So my motion is to hold the hearing open and hold this over.
Rachel seconded that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions?
Me?
Next. The 1837, use variance for uses permitted, 41403 Ellis Street. Is there a motion?
All right, I'll make a motion to approve.
There a second?
I'll second. Where's the list of, oh,
Page 90.
So the applicant cannot realize a reasonable return. I think they've pretty much made the case. This house, if you visited it, it's in a difficult position, and it's been vacant for years at a time. I think they've made the financial case. The alleged hardship relating to the property in question is unique. It is in a unique position, this property is, where it's located. The requested use variance, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. I think we could all agree that it's going to improve that little corner of the neighborhood. And is the alleged hardship self-created? To an extent it is. It's disappointing to see the land bank property still coming through with purchasers not aware of things that could have been researched with the city and found out before the purchase. But it's not of a major enough magnitude to make me think that this should be denied.
And that's it, is it seek or something or anything?
We've looked at the potential environmental impacts and make a negative declaration. Doesn't look like the footprint of the house or anything to do with drainage, et cetera, will be changed.
Okay. All those in
Just-
favor? Yes.
Since, on the last one that we had, something similar, you asked that I give my spiel before, I would not approve this, mostly because of item number 4 again. You have to satisfy all of them. This is self-created, unfortunately, because a quick phone call to zoning would have shown that there was a lapse. When did you guys say, roughly? 90s? Sorry, say that?
1970s.
Okay, the 1970s, that there was a lapse in the use, so you would have known that and you could have handled that accordingly without having to come here with hat in hand after the fact. So I would not approve it because all of these need to be met, and I realize that that's difficult and unfortunate, but like I said, a phone call to zoning is a very, very easy thing for all to do, including attorneys that are representing these folks. So,
They might have been here before the sale instead of after, though.
who's that?
The landmark board.
The land bank might have been here, but they could have come before the sale, right, and been there as the applicant, but the attorney before they closed could have said, hey, wait, guys, let's check. Let me
Yes.
make sure you're all in good order, because they should inform their clients, if that's your intended use as a 3-family property, we want to make sure that you're going to get a 3-family property.
There's so many places it could have been cut. That's right.
Yeah, so.
Okay, thank you for that. All those in favor of the motion to approve the variance, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
So that's 4 to 1 approved. So, do we have a motion to
Oh,
bring this guy back?
I'll make a motion to withdraw my motion, or can I do that?
I would recommend, just for procedure's sake, start with making a motion to reopen, the discussion and then make the motion.
Okay, I make a motion to reopen the discussion on the first case of the day. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Now,
Sir,
Make a
could, oh, what, oh, no, we
You just got to withdraw.
Yes. now I have to make a motion to rescind
Yes.
my earlier motion. I make a motion to rescind my earlier motion involving the first case of the day.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Do you have to announce that, Melissa, or can I just ask them to come up? Okay. Should let him know that it was denied.
Application V-18-33, this is a use variance to waive the uses permitted for the property at 1207 Park Street to establish a retail use. The property owner is Dumar Koundul, and the property is located within a residential Class A zoning district. Will the applicant please come forward?
You please state your name and address when you get to the microphone, please.
Okay, so my name is Omar Kundor. Yes,
Your
restaurant,
address?
1126 Park Street.
Okay, so,
Sorry, what,
36 Park Street, you said?
1126 Park Street where I live.
1126 Park Street.
Yes, but I,
Okay.
Just so you know, because we missed you last time and we didn't see you this time,
yes,
we did vote to deny your variance on what we knew. Now, we took that back because we'd rather hear from you. But we thought about this a bit, so why don't you tell us about your situation? And could you lift the microphone a little bit and talk right into it? Yeah, thanks.
okay. Yes, recently bought the house with the small barber shop on it. I was hoping I can open a grocery store up there. That was the main reason I bought the property. So when I come to get a permit, I found out what's going on with the property. I did not know. That was my first time buying a house. I did not know that I have to go through with all of this. So here we are.
Can you tell us about the business you planned for that property?
Yes, I was planning to open to live on the building and open a small grocery and the barber shop, what it is, like smaller store, grocery.
You plan on having cooking in there?
No, not cooking, just cold drinks, New York State Lottery and stuff like that.
So I
Snacks.
do you plan on selling alcohol there?
No, no alcohol.
Definitely not.
No.
How about lottery tickets?
Yes.
Yes, he said,
I
yeah,
missed that, sorry.
yeah.
And tobacco.
And tobacco was on
Yeah,
your list,
tobacco,
right?
yes.
You plan on tobacco.
Now, one issue with the variance, it stays with the property forever, you know, until it gets changed. Now, going by, on Saturday, I drove by and there's a little for sale sign on the building. Are you selling that building, or is that your plan?
No, since I bought the house, I never did nothing yet. Until I get what I want.
Okay, so it's totally empty now.
It's empty, nobody living there. I did not start no work yet.
And
until I
the
get
owner is still
permit.
showing it to other people until you get approval, is that right?
Yes.
Oh, you don't own it yet?
No, I do own it. I already bought it. I paid him off. I'm just waiting to see what I can do.
So when you bought it, it was the house next door and the.
Yes, it came
barber
together.
shop.
Yes.
Are you renting out the house?
I'm gonna live downstairs. Maybe I will rent the upstairs apartment.
Okay.
What if you didn't? What would you do with it if you didn't rent the upstairs apartment?
I will rent it probably.
Yeah, right. I mean, so it's a 2-unit
Yes, 2
apartment
yes.
and a separate, you know,
Yes.
that separate little store, we're calling it a store, and
Yes.
there's a shed too. Is there a
Shed.
third building?
No.
No, okay, something else.
So part of this decision that we have to make is whether you can make a return, enough money to pay for the costs of owning this property. And I'm wondering about the value of the house to you compared to the value of this small, what was a barber shop. How much of the value of the whole property would you say
How
was in?
important is it that you have that store to be able to pay your bills?
Yes, the store, if I will be able to open it, I'm very sure it will be more profitable for me. Even if I don't open it, I can rent it out. But I want to open it by myself, stay there.
Okay.
So this would be your main, main
Income.
Yeah,
job
one source of
would be
income.
to run the
Yes.
store?
Yes, to run the store.
Because you don't, do you have other employment?
Appointment?
Are you employed anyplace else besides this?
Yes, yes.
So you have a job?
Yeah, right now I'm a taxi driver,
Oh, okay.
so just wanted to do.
So, just digging a little bit on that, well, what we have to do is evaluate whether you can make enough money without this store, which is the one that's in question. It's not, we have to make an exception to the rules to allow you to have it. So if we denied it,
Okay.
could you make enough money just living there and renting upstairs? Have you done any financial, work to know what you need to make, and do you know how much you expect to make at the store?
Yes, I did.
And is that very important part of this for you?
Yeah.
So,
The main thing.
let me ask you, this is obviously not a residential unit, this little place that was a barber shop, whether it was legal or not. How did it get there?
I can't answer that.
Yeah.
It's never had a variance, though, that's the interesting thing.
And it's never been pulled in,
Before.
yeah.
But it was apparently built before the codes came in.
Have you,
I have a bigger question, which is, if you're living in the property, then you're getting value out of it by living there, like not having to pay rent. So the question about rate of return only applies to that little part of the property and not the whole property, right? I'm just confused about how to put all the pieces together in evaluating that.
Well, this property has 2 buildings on it. I don't know what the barber shop was originally. It could have been a
Garage,
garage.
maybe.
I
Garage,
don't
maybe,
know.
yeah.
So we don't have enough information to know that. I can't speak to any permits that may or may not have been pulled to create the barber shop, to occupy the barber shop. So I think you had asked the applicant a question about a reasonable return and the financial information. If you don't believe that that has been submitted, then that should be something that you should take a hard look at.
Are there other little grocery stores in that neighborhood? Is there a
No.
need for this grocery store in the neighborhood?
The only grocery store is like 2 blocks away,
2 blocks away is not very far.
and all the way on like down.
And who do you think your clientele is gonna be? Who are your customers?
I mean,
The people that just live around?
yeah, around there, all the neighbors.
There was a garage at the back, you can see.
Yeah,
That's
it's
why
a garage
thought
on
I
the
read
back.
something.
It's never
Yeah.
been.
Yeah, maybe still is.
There's a garage?
Yeah, it's a garage on the
Garage,
back.
okay, not a shed, but a garage, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that,
It's a pretty narrow driveway to get to it, but there is one.
Would you have bought this house to live in, even if it did not have the small property next to it?
No, I would not buy.
you were looking for a place to open a business?
Yeah, that was the part of the thing.
Okay. So what what the state requires is that we have a look at the financial outlook for this. And that, and when you're opening a business, you need to have a good idea of that, and maybe you do, but we need it in writing. We need to look at your expenses that you anticipate and your income that you anticipate, which includes the apartment and the store, to make an evaluation whether the store is needed for you to be able to do what you want to do. You following me?
Yes, I do.
So, whether you can do that on your own, or you need to talk to an accountant to help you do it, we need to understand your plan for this, what you anticipate your expenses to be, what investments you need to make to get this all going, and then a projection on what you think this will generate, and will it give you the income that you need, and is that store very important? You're not opening a Wegmans, right? It's a small store, and everybody has the right to this, but you don't have the right to do it in this place. We have to decide whether we're gonna make an exception to that. So, the board may decide to leave the case open and ask you to come back with a with the financials, on this. And if you have questions on that, right, could you help? I'm not saying help with financials, but tell him what he needs. Yes, okay. So I think that's where we're at. When we get these cases, a lot of times they come in with a very formal report as to their expenses and their anticipated income. And we don't have any of this from you. So you could say, no, I don't want to do that. We'll probably reject it right now,
Okay.
your variance. Would you like the opportunity to come back
Yes.
with those financials?
Yes.
Okay. So is that satisfactory
I
to
think
the
so.
board? Yeah. Okay, so we'll make a motion.
Is it reasonable to include the rent that he doesn't have to pay in order to live, like the value?
So,
The value of actually living in that?
And
in
the
it?
taxes he's paying on the property.
Well, that comes, it's his income versus his expenses. That's what it is. That's what it is.
right, so the rental.
He doesn't get a
should-
credit for that.
Part.
He's just not paying any rent to himself.
No, she's meaning rental income, I think, from the second floor.
No, I meant for himself.
No,
So,
I'm answering
Oh.
like, if you're talking about rate
that-
of return on the whole property.
That's part of the picture.
The value of.
It's gonna cost him this much, and with everything included, he anticipates making this much. Now, the way you stated it before, it's like, we wanna make sure he can make enough money. What he really has to prove is that without the store, he can't make enough money. That's what he really has to prove to us, right?
Right.
Yeah,
And it's not just more money, but a hardship.
right. That you have to show us that without without the income from the store,
Yeah.
you're not gonna make enough money to to make your expenses in this house.
Okay.
You understand that?
Yeah.
Which, well, I don't know. That's what you're gonna have to show.
And compared to the residential uses you might make of this, for instance, you might just use it as your own storage. As a residential piece of property, you couldn't do that.
Yeah. So, I'm just gonna ask another question or two before we, what is your, okay, you said 9 AM to 9 PM,
Yes.
7 days a week?
Yes.
And how many people are gonna work there?
Maybe two. Just me and my brother.
And your brother?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, family business. And, I don't know if any other questions, anything else?
My favorite question that everybody's gonna love me for, did you or your attorney, Frank Hunt, call the city to ask about this little thing before you bought it?
No, he did not know.
Okay.
Thank you for asking that question.
Yeah,
Sure.
Keep doing
it's
it.
a worthy question. I think the fact that you have two in a row, just as a sample, shows that there's a communication issue here too, that people don't know. Well, you're an attorney, you're saying people should absolutely know this. Is that your concern?
Well, in both cases, they were represented by counsel, and counsel should know, and I think counsel over there would agree with me that if you find someone, that they should absolutely address those concerns, but, you know, not all attorneys are created equal.
Is there any point in the process, and it'd have to be before us, where they could be reminded of that, like in the real estate process?
I mean, their brokers could try to educate them, their attorneys are really the ones that are responsible to say, hey, look,
Represent
guys.
us at a board, you know, the law club, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, really, when you sit down with them, they should say, what do you want, what are you looking to do? I mean, if you're buying a single-family residential home, you usually know, but when you see these sorts of things come up,
Yeah, no, it's
your
good.
thoughts on this property are to do what? Live in this space, maybe rent it, and then you have this thing over here, because the survey clearly shows the two structures on the property. And if the intent was always that he was going to open up a shop.
You understand what we're saying here?
Yes.
That attorneys should find out what their clients are doing, and if they're gonna have this kind of issue before they say, you know, sign the papers. So, and you didn't, so I guess you understood that. So,
And so it comes down to us, if there are gonna be consequences for not doing this properly, it's down to us to provide
Yeah.
those consequences.
because we allow the exception to the rule, that's our job, yeah. Okay,
Okay, for me.
make a, motion to hold the hearing open? Oh, you don't? You wanna make a motion to deny it?
Stu, how long can it be held?
How long can it be?
It's be held open, is there?
Oh, you mean,
I've had them held open for years.
Yeah, hold it over.
I'll make a motion to hold it over then. I'm sorry.
Okay, so,
Yeah,
As long as there's an agreement between the applicant and the board, 62 days is the law. But if it's after that, if there's an agreement between the applicant and the board to continue that,
but she's saying you have a couple of months, yeah, which should be enough time.
but if you don't think you'll be able to get the information within very shortly so that we can advertise it to be at the next meeting, then you might want to deny it without prejudice and then come back when you're fully ready with the information that can fully be digested.
Then he has to reapply all over again?
Yes.
I guess I don't think so. If we
Well-
give him the opportunity to come back,
How much time does he need?
Well, you
Well, he doesn't know.
Give him the opportunity to come back and try to get on the calendar for the next session, if he is able to get that information, that way he can present it then, but if he is not, then you can make the decision to deny that way. He
yeah.
still has that.
That's 3 weeks though, but you say he has 62 days, so why don't we say,
For the double, you know.
or 2 meetings from now? Yeah, okay. So, what we're saying is, you'll need some time to do this. And we have a couple of ways to do this, and one way is to ask you, can you get this done and be back here in 6 weeks?
Yes.
And I'm gonna ask you, show up and be on time, please, next time, because that will keep us from getting delayed. So a motion to,
I might motion to hold over till the meeting after next? Is
yeah, which should be in the late January, late January, about that. And
24th?
if that's when the meeting is, okay. Do we have yes, I know you gave us a schedule, I can use it again. Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll see you again, hopefully. You'll have a financial plan. If you have questions, please ask our staff.
Okay.
And hopefully they'll help you, put you in the right direction. Thank you. Okay,
Yes.
so we got,
adjourned?
no, we got new business.
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
that's right.
We
So
got
there's,
new business.
one new business item. This is a request by the Syracuse Industrial Development Agency to act as lead agency under seeker for this project at 1219 to 1221, 1225 to 1227, 1231, 1237, 1301, 1311, 1317, 1323 East Genesee Street, and 224, 212 to 214, 210, 208 Ashworth Place. There is a proposal to demolish the existing structures and build a mixed-use structure with 283 apartments.
More student housing? Really? It's amazing, just amazing how much is going on. What did I hear the other day?
And
Another place.
also retail space. They have determined it's a type 1 action. We had a pre-development meeting on this with many department heads and the applicant. It's a very complex project. It's mixed zoning. It's residential C and residential B. If this, when this moves forward, there will be many decisions necessary by both of our boards, both the Planning Commission and the Board of Zoning Appeals. So you will most likely see this project.
Where's the Ashworth place?
Ashworth Place is parallel to East Genesee Street, the 1200 block. It
Oh,
is,
okay. So it's across the street from the other big
Yes.
construction they just did.
yes, it is.
Dr. Combs, all
Yep.
of us, yeah.
So SIDA, this is a request to accept the Syracuse Industrial Development Agency to be lead agency under seeker or not. The same letter is going to the Planning Commission on Monday. And so, as I said, there's several boards that will touch this, and you will most likely see this as a large project come through. So.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Then there are some cases for next time, authorizations. Is there a motion? It is January 3rd.
Motion, we approve the cases for next time?
And then there'll be one addition, B 8636, the 566 to 568 Clarendon Street. So there'll be a total of 6.
Happy New Year.
Yeah. So, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, before I make a,
Is there a second on that? No.
was there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Before we adjourn, I may have said something last time, but, we need to wish State Senator-elect Rachel May best of luck, and we will miss you here, definitely.
But
Keep-
you're
keep in
glad you'll
touch.
be there.
Yes, yeah, yeah, speaking for Mike and I, we're glad to hear that. And, is there a motion to adjourn? Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.